One day Mozart was sitting at the bar and drank glass after glass. His friends were extremely confused. The next day, November 4, 1787 in Prague was to be held the premiere of his last opera, Don Giovanni. All anything but the overture was not written. Genius, apparently, was also an outstanding procrastinator. He worked all day but obviously on something else. As evidenced by the reminiscences of his contemporaries, published in 1845, the friends managed to convince Wolfgang Amadeus time left. At midnight he returned to his room and started to work. The composer suffered all night, and his wife from time to time woke him with a kick to the side. The overture was finally ready, but the beginning of the premiere had to be postponed because of time. Rewriting notes and rehearsal is not enough. Oh, procrastination, procrastination. If you are familiar with the situation when the delivery of the project on the nose, and you're up all night to read any nonsense like experiments with goggles for chickens, or as Mozart will work on anything, except that you really need to finish, then you need help. Although procrastinatory sometimes even proud of their habit. In Britain, for example, is National Procrastination Week. It should be in early March, but, as you might imagine, is often delayed. Procrastination is not good. One of them, for example, called Antiplane, recommends to make a list of only pleasant things, like lunch with a friend, are things necessary for the health, for example, to go for a run or to sleep every night. Method Antiplane, invented and described in his book Habit to Do Now, The Now Habit, psychologist Neil Fiore in 1988. Since the time he has gained more popularity among bloggers, authors of books on self-help and even professional psychotherapists. Fiore became interested in the question of delay when I worked at the University of California at Berkeley. He managed to write his doctoral dissertation in just 1 year, while the average graduate students need 9-10 months longer than they had planned. Fiore noticed something unusual. Those of us who have written a thesis over 1 or 2 years should be actively live, he explains. We had a relationship, we participated in social events, for example, I was working full sonati. Those who have the thesis was not so active, life was full of suffering. They had only work and responsibilities. We started the day 30-60 minutes early, sometimes an hour and a half because we needed to have another life and not just a job, says Fiore. System Antiplane helps to establish control over their lives. When you have planned pleasant events, sports, entertainment and meetings, you see how much time you have to work, and you have no choice as to actively take up the case. Psychologists have long noticed that procrastinators in general have a lot in common. They set unrealistic goals, do not know how to manage your time, and prone to the main enemy of productivity is perfectionism. It's safer to blame my procrastination on a disappointing result than to feel that this is all that you are capable of. But if at the last minute manage to do the impossible, you will feel proud, as the psychologist. The idea is to stop scaring yourself a giant scale, but to focus on a small part of the work within, say, 15 minutes. The main thing to start, not to reach the end. This reinforces the idea that progress happens in small steps, not one giant effort, says Burke. Fiore offers to overcome this, crafting from fear. The classic way to overcome fear of spiders is to imagine the spider 3 meters from each other and not to run away. Studies show that procrastinatory often prone to depression and anxiety, and delay in school children is often associated with attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder, add. This turns the debt into something positive and helps in case of complex internal struggle between the desire to fall onto the couch and feel like I should sit at work. And therefore, when you once again find yourself on that for several hours pointless waste social networks or do anything just to undertake a complex project, do not say to yourself, I need to schedule more time for this, I'll finish it right now.